Boss, this is Billy. I've got something urgent to report to you.
Yeah?
Well, boss, we've just seen that snake just now.
Yeah? Did you get rid of that fucking snake yet?
There's a problem.
Oh, yeah?
The snake's changed. It's even bigger now. So I think it's best if you send out the plane. Over.
Welcome to Second Class Cinema, the show where we watch a B-movie and immediately discuss. I'm Tom. I'm here with Brittany, Erik, and Fallon.
Hi, Tom. Hi, Fallon.
Hello.
What about Brittany?
Just forget
Hi,
that
Erik.
way.
Oh.
Yes, hello, Fallon.
Hello, everyone.
First time guest.
First time guest Fallon. How are you doing?
I'm feeling like my brain needs to be reassembled after what we just saw today, but I'm up for the challenge.
Oh, good. That's good to know. And before we dive into the movie, let's get this out of the way. Fallon, what's your relationship with B-movies, as we ask all of our first-time guests?
I love B movies. I'm not trying to brag or anything, but I've actually taken college courses specific to B movies. I've taken classes on exploitation cinema and camp films. I watched Pink Flamingos twice in 2 separate college classes.
Wow.
I'm not saying Pink Flamingos is necessarily a B movie, but anything right in that vein. My favorite type of B movie is probably kind of in the Lifetime sleazy exploitation thriller.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, that's very specific. I
Yes,
like that.
like a stalker movie, a really good like stalker movie.
Oh, those are good. So you're way more educated than we are.
Overqualified.
Probably,
You're overqualified.
you probably would have loved Zipperface.
I love it based on the name.
But yeah, on that, let's go over what we watched tonight, and we watched Thunder of the Giant Serpent, and this could be only one person's pick,
Hi.
and that was Erik.
Yep, me.
Erik picked this film. Why did you pick this one?
I feel like that title is a lie.
I never remember it. I had to look at my notes even to say it again.
You had to ask me how to spell serpent before we started.
Yeah, I'm blown away.
Okay, so this is another Godfrey Ho movie. We haven't done on Godfrey Ho since Robo Vampire, way
Yeah.
back in like episode 9 or 10.
Yeah, I think it's 10. Maybe.
So for a quick rundown on what Godfrey Ho does, back in the 80s, he would take unfinished movies that were unmarketable for whatever reason. He would take the unfinished footage and he would splice in like 20 minutes of his own footage, mash it all together, try to make it make sense by overdubbing it, and then push it out. So basically, he could make 5 movies for the budget of 1.
That's pretty cool.
And apparently, it was a pretty successful business venture, so I can't knock it.
No, it's cool. It's always a valiant effort. I've only seen 2 of his movies, but I'd say one of my favorite parts is just seeing if I can differentiate what he did and what he got, and seeing how they connect.
I was Googling him beforehand and I found him described as, quote, quite the insane hack. Quote.
Accurate.
Yes.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Most of his catalog is like really bad ninja movies. I'm waiting to find a good one to bring to the podcast because I really don't want to subject you guys to something that's really boring. So
Yeah.
expect to see another Godfrey Ho on the horizon.
Yeah, I think he fits the bill. So what was this movie about?
Okay, so the Army is doing experiments on a new formula that's going to make plants and animals be able to grow up to 300 times their size.
300 to 1,000 times.
300 to 1,000, correct.
a lot.
They make a giant frog.
Yeah.
It's grotesque. There's a terrorist group that is out to hijack this formula and use it for their own nefarious purposes, which is barely explained. This terrorist group led by a man named Bob Solomon, who is going to use the formula to be in control of the world's food supply. Not quite sure how that works because there's still other food, even if he can make a 300-foot frog to feed people with. But that's besides the point. They managed to attack the army base, and the formula gets lost in the scuffle and ends up in the hands of a young girl named Tingting, who has a pet snake that she puts into the box containing the formula, and the snake grows giant whenever it is exposed to lightning.
Yeah.
And now the army, the police, a man who is working for the army named Ted Fast are all trying to recover the formula and take down the snake.
Yeah. That pretty much wraps that
That
up.
was surprisingly precise for how all over the place this movie was.
It illuminated several points for me.
I've become very talented at summarizing terrible movies. It's not a good talent to have.
That's a good skill.
Okay, you clowns, cut the crap.
So let's start off with successes for the movie. Where do we think this movie did something correctly, something that was enjoyable?
I only have a 1+, so I guess I'll go first.
Get it out
I
of the-
thought the music was awesome, but that kind of got ruined later when Erik told me that it was all stolen music that he probably didn't have licensing for.
My notes say Godfrey Ho has good taste in music, as opposed to this movie has good music.
True, I guess.
There's a lot of really cool like synth pop from the 80s showing
Yeah,
up in this movie.
like classical piano synth.
And specifically, there's like some weird, like there's a weird goth streak in this movie, where like
Yeah.
there was a shootout that was set to like Clan of Zymox, which is an old like dark wave band that I'm surprised would show up in this, and like the final showdown between Bob Solomon and Ted Fast is set to like a Sisters of Mercy song.
And I would say that actually Lynn, the scientist who developed the formula, she had some style to her. Did you notice that she had some like spiked hair, she was a little edgy looking for a scientist, I thought.
Little
Yeah.
80s
Some
punk.
goth style.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what were you saying? This movie came out or it was made in 1980?
It was made in 1980, but not released until 1988.
So that would explain the fashion.
It looks extremely late 70s. Yeah.
So-
Yeah, like pleated skirts down to your ankles with giant sweaters that are 4 sizes too big.
Well, that, and I think like if the 1980s part was the giant snake part, then that totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was very, very monster movie of the past.
Yes.
Yes.
What else we have for positives? Well, real quick. I thought when this movie first started, I was like, you know what? This movie's a straight shooter. We got ourselves something that was like, this makes a lot of sense. When it started.
What gave it that?
Well, because everyone who was speaking,
What gave you that impression?
everyone who was speaking was so exact in what was happening, what they were. Everything was face value, and for a while I appreciated that. I was like, oh, I could follow along.
Was this before or after the snake that speaks English? Like nodding his head in agreement when asked if he wants a snack.
It was during. I followed that,
All right.
but that didn't much. Fallon, you look like you had something to say about that.
It's funny that you used the words straight shooter. I did not think that necessarily about the plot, but I don't want to derail us, but I did want to talk about Tingting's father, who I thought was the ultimate straight shooter.
That man was all business.
I'm trying to decide how best to explain him, perhaps through some of his own dialogue.
Oh, perfect. We love quotes on this show.
Starting when he called his wife a coward for being afraid of a snake. Very reasonable fare. Later, I won't have a monster in my house.
I wrote that down too. I was like, that's pretty funny.
Very matter of fact. Very matter of fact. And when he has a bunch of gangsters storming into his garage, he just tells them, "You're trespassing." You're trespassing.
Like law-abiding citizens to me.
Is a true salary man.
Yeah, it's hard to explain, but I really felt that his charm added a little extra something to his otherwise insufferable child. And I'm very curious to see what everyone else thinks of Tingting, who is, as Erik said at the beginning, the holder of the formula and the giant snake.
Snake Master.
Well, we can transition to failures pretty soon.
I also thought this movie had some pretty ace stuntmen.
Yes.
I'd say they were over the top.
Yeah, they were really over the top.
And as far as these movies go, that's kind of how these movies roll. So if they were boring, I think I'd put it in a failure. Since they were over the top, I'm putting it in successes.
Those were interpretive dance moves that we saw. I saw some pirouettes.
I saw a lot of corkscrew flips.
Yeah, I mean, it's
A lot of talent out
acceptable,
there.
I feel like, in this situation, because if the rest of the movie is just going to be meh, you might as well really reach for the stars on any death scenes you're going to do.
For sure.
Yeah. The action choreography was really cool.
Yeah.
Every death was a front flip.
yeah.
Single one.
Even some of the quick fight scenes that they had, even though they were really short, really quick, they were high paced, high energy stuff. They moved quickly. Anything else for positives, or are we? Is that pretty much it?
I'm pretty much tapped out.
Yeah. I'm done.
That's it.
Okay. So let's go to failures then.
Oh, the effects were atrocious, obviously. The snake looked like a giant Tootsie Roll. Slash turd. Slash, like, plastic bag stuffed with turds.
Yeah, so there were three stages to this snake. There was little tiny snake nodding his head on the bed. There was medium-sized snake in a shed nodding his head.
Well, if you want to call that a medium-sized snake, it's still about the size of an anaconda that's like 30 feet long.
Well, and then we've got our extra large
True.
snake, which then
King Kong snake.
Yeah, the King Kong part of the whole movie.
The chugger of snakes, if you will.
One could say that. One could. So the effects are bad. What else do we have about the effects?
You know what?
About anything?
It's weird. As bad as the snake effects were, and as obvious as the miniatures were that they used in this movie, I kind of liked the miniatures.
Okay.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
Well, we don't really get to see miniatures anymore, so now when you see them in movies, they're kind of neat.
It was kind of charming. It was.
Yeah.
To see like the craftsmanship that went into like creating this really terrible movie that no one ever got to see.
Yeah, like little train sets, like choo-chooing along. You're like, oh, cute.
Yeah, I can appreciate those. I did have that in the failures part, but I can still appreciate it. What else we got, guys?
I thought like the tone of this movie was really weird. Like it would go back and forth between like this little girl and her pet snake, like having fun and playing hide and seek, and the snake saves her from a falling tree, and it's very heartwarming.
It's like
and
Pete's Dragon meets Commando.
Yeah, and then it turns into like this hard-boiled like military shootout thing, where like people are being murdered in the face with Uzis.
Yeah. And I feel like it kept that pace for a while before it went back to the snake, and I was like, the snake is my favorite part.
Wasn't there a snake in this movie?
Yeah.
Give me more snake.
Yeah, it had a certain innocence to it at times, and I think that goes a lot with like her family and stuff, like her and her family. Mm-hmm. That gave it this weird childish vibe, and then the other side of it was like really hard. They were swearing, like I don't know, I don't remember a lot of F words, I don't remember a lot of fucks. Vampire.
Welcome back.
Hey guys, but yeah, no, that I can follow that.
Yeah, and it was strange because I was expecting that kind of like weird tone deafness to maybe pop up because of like the Godfrey Ho editions, but it seems like that was part of the original script.
Yeah,
very weird.
Totally.
I had a huge beef with the sound effects of the snake.
Oh, the pterodactyl noises.
Yeah, it sounded like a wild, pissed off chimp.
Yeah,
that was just like. Wah, wah, wah.
Yeah, he totally sounded like a bird.
I was like, why is it not just like making a
like a
sound
slither
whenever it?
Or like a really beefy rattle.
Yeah.
Yeah, they really fucked that one
It
up.
was almost like a pterodactyl.
No, it was definitely a
Chimpadactyl.
pterodactyl. Now that you mention it. Yeah. What else we have for failures? Fallon, what do you got?
I just had at the fundamentals of the plot. I came over and over again to this point of what exactly the consequences. What was the end game for this formula? Why did the terrorists want it? What was their master plan? How is it going to figure into mass food production? And how are they going to obtain armies from the developed countries? That's actually like a separate point. Is I just loved how vague all the terms were. It was the army, the military, the government, the terrorists.
I actually had a question about that because at one point he's like, underdeveloped countries will ask for help from us. I was like,
so great, you'll be a philanthropist?
Yeah, only like they don't have money or anything. That's why they're underdeveloped. Like, what are they going to pay you in?
Also, it didn't seem like a formula. It seemed like a magic box to me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no,
What was in the box?
Electricity
That's it.
and magic.
Oh, okay.
Science.
Oh, so there's magic, electricity, and science in this box.
Yeah.
And then all that make a giant snake.
Since when are terrorists into helping people?
I mean,
don't know.
I guess you could make a stretch that they would be trying to make like some sort of serfdom class in like maybe like a third world country.
Aggro terrorists.
I really don't know what he explains his entire plot in like one sentence at the beginning of the movie and it makes no fucking sense.
Nonsense.
It's nonsensical.
Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely some problems with the plot. And I had some beef with Tingting.
So annoying.
Sure.
She was very, very frustrating. Question.
Very grating.
Over, under on how many times she said this mysterious snake's name on 50.
Oh, easily. And we still don't know the snake's name.
Over.
Over?
I'm gonna say.
I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this.
Under.
Under 50.
Yeah.
I think it's over.
I think it's over 50 in the last scene alone.
I kind of want to go back and rewatch it
And count them
Do
all.
a count.
I'm pretty sure it's over 50, and I'm pretty sure the snake's name was Bosley. What do we think the snake?
I was reading comments on IMDb,
Oh, okay.
and somebody said Martha.
Definitely not Martha.
Somebody said Mozart. Mozler?
But
Mozler?
I heard
yeah.
Mozler.
Mozler.
Yeah,
Mozler. Mazla.
No idea what the
Like
snake's
Maserati.
fucking name
Mazda
was.
Miata.
Yeah.
We just kept
Some
calling
sort
it a
of
different
car.
name every time we'd refer to it.
Boslerman.
Yeah, the Boslerman.
Murtaugh.
Yeah. I kind of liked Bosley for a snake.
I like Bosley.
We can call him that. Any other failures? I mean, overall, I mean, this was one of those 80s action-y monster movie, ADR, over-the-top kind of movies, so...
Yeah, I feel like this was just like a bunch of different people wanting a government secret, and occasionally a giant snake would show up.
Well said.
Sounds better on paper.
It really does.
Yeah, because there would be entire scenes where Ted Fast
It's just making
is just making phone calls. He's calling into the other movie, like, did you get the snake yet?
And they're like, we'll let you know. Let's share information. Okay, bye. Cutscene.
This gets back to what you were saying about the tone.
Yeah.
Ted Fast was strangely blasé about all of this.
Oh, yeah. I think
Really
he even knew
took
the
it in
stakes were
stride.
bullshit.
He like didn't help at all. He stayed in the office until the last second, and then when the snake was already dead, he showed up to like kill that other guy.
I kind of like that they set Ted Fast up to be a total badass, and he spends the entire movie making phone calls. He's got Steven Seagal syndrome. He's got to beat up on a schlubby guy with a mustache.
Unworthy opponents. A constant stream of them.
Any other places where this movie fell short?
That's about all I got.
Yeah. I'm trying.
I just want to talk more about how much I hate that little girl.
All right, we
know.
can do
Her
that.
voice was so fucking annoying.
Yeah.
It was so screechy, and she just screamed the whole time.
Yeah. She did.
Yeah, I think this movie was dubbed by like the same studio that pretty much dubbed everything else that came out of Hong Kong between 1980 and like now.
Yeah, I definitely heard voices that were in Riccio.
Oh yeah.
Definitely.
I mean, do you want to talk about her understanding of the nature of snakes? I mean, I know that you had a big reaction when she was feeding the snake fish.
Yes, she was like, "You want some fish?" And it would be like, "Yeah." She would be like, "Okay, I'll be back." And she said it like 10 times, which, you know what, is so weird, because she kept saying how she wanted to feed him fish, and she never did. And at dinner, our waitress kept coming back and repeating the same things to us before she would do them.
Do you think?
And they're both Asian. Coincidence, I think. Sorry, you're going to have to cut that out. I just needed to share it immediately.
That ain't going anywhere.
We were served by Tingting tonight.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the whole time I was just like, I don't feel bad for you. Like, you're causing so much destruction because you just keep calling the snake and then he plows over the entire fucking city to get to you. Like, you're killing thousands of people right now.
Yeah, and I didn't get that part either.
You selfish asshole.
Like, what connection was so magical for them that they were just bonded for life?
Okay, well, I have a theory about this.
perfect.
Well, not a theory, but a comparison, if you will. There's a point in the movie we can all agree where the snake, Mozler, he took a turn from like lovable kind of beach bum, you know, playing playing beach volleyball with Tingting to destroying the city.
Yeah.
And I thought this reminds me of another misunderstood creature. I thought, could this kind of be a Drogon Daenerys thing where he starts off innocent, but he's just, by his very nature, the beast will come out.
True.
And they had this connection. Felt a little Game of Thrones to me.
Rip off.
Very nice.
This movie from 1980 totally ripped off Game of Thrones, guys.
Godfrey Ho. How could you?
I know.
No, I
If-
could buy that as a theory.
If Godfrey Ho could invent a time machine to rip something off, he totally would.
Yeah.
I also didn't know if, like, as he got bigger, he kind of got, like, meaner or got, like, yeah,
Just
basically
like, just like
just
our-
like Drogon. Just grows into their animal instinct.
Yeah.
she mounts him at one point.
That's right.
You know,
Holy crap.
I I would actually like to talk even more about that. I feel that this movie, at its heart, was it was a coming of age for Tingting. This was a girl becoming a woman.
Yeah, with her giant snake. Like,
Yes,
I didn't want to talk about that. But
no, we should go there.
Okay.
You know, much like the short story "A White Heron" by Sarah Orne Jewett.
Yeah.
Made famous for its scene in which a young girl climbs a tree, symbolic of her sexuality. And I remember my 9th grade English teacher telling me, Fallon, when you see read about a young girl mounting a tree, that's sex. And I have to think that we cannot overlook this. This was a young girl mounting a serpent, coming of age. The first beginning of the movie, she had been bullied by these boys who were telling her, you can't win a foot race, you're just a girl. And now she's this empowered woman.
Snake queen.
Riding her snake.
This is the most analysis that's ever been done on this movie.
It's really creepy when you think about it, though.
Yeah.
Because you know some, like, old Asian guy wrote that. And Asian people have weird fetishes. Sorry. Just gonna say
And
it.
they put her in that pink cat sweater.
Right? This is all very uncomfortable.
I'm sorry. I just needed to... This was the movie I saw.
Rife with phallic symbolism.
It makes perfect sense, and yeah, I'm 100% in on that.
Here comes the rain again.
See, I didn't want to go into the whole
Snake
phallic
equals
part of it.
penis.
Yeah, I didn't want to go to the whole snake dick part.
But then you also did say that there was an ejaculation within 2 minutes of the movie starting.
That's true.
That is also true. So maybe deep down I really wanted to do that. But yeah, no, I felt that transition in her life with this whole thing going on.
It's beyond creepy.
Clear as day to me.
Yeah, so I guess with that we can transition to favorite parts, unless anyone has any outstanding questions they'd like to ask from this movie. If anyone is confused, anyone?
I just had the question about why the snake speaks English and can nod in
Can
agreement.
understand English, yeah. Right from when he was a little tiny snake in the bed.
Yeah. Snake in her bed.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, like, question: did we see how she got this snake, or did she just have it and seen one?
She just had it.
I think she just finds it.
She had him in a bucket.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Trying to feed it like crab eggs or something. Is that what they said?
What the fuck was she feeding?
Oh, yeah.
Like Cadbury mini eggs.
Eggs.
Yeah.
From the beginning.
Yeah, tried to feed it
Her.
like eggs and stuff. Yeah,
Weird.
yeah, totally.
I have one question.
Okay,
Who keeps a toaster directly on the dining table?
that's a good question.
This straightforward salary man. That's who does it.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting.
Straight shooter. Takes his toast straight from the toaster.
Think how much time you would save just doing that every morning.
A lot.
Upwards of 2 seconds a day. Adds up.
I can say at least 20 extra Moslers if I toast my toast at the table.
Do we think that by the end of the movie, this is a question, is Mozler more than 1,000 times big than his original size?
Oh, he's got
I would say yes.
More than 1,000? I'd say it's right about 1,000. Right about 1,000 times as big as he started.
I think
not a hair over.
he was like a tiny 1-foot snake in her bed, and then he was like crushing bridges over rivers.
Yeah.
Beating up gangsters with his tail.
Yeah. He climbed a skyscraper a la King Kong.
Yeah, and they did say 300 to 1,000, and I think his first go was probably about 300 times bigger.
Yeah,
and then he got
about.
electrocuted again, bumped it all the way up to 1,000. I think the math stands.
Was he or was he not getting electrocuted when he crushed the bridge?
Wait, what?
What? Was he or was he not getting electrocuted again when he crushed the bridge and it was like...
He was.
Might have been, yeah.
Okay, because I thought he got bigger,
Maybe he maxed out.
but I don't know.
He only grew twice.
It was very unclear.
Yeah, because we were really cheering for him to grow, and then he did, and it was awesome. And he looked like she belonged at a mini golf course.
Yeah, you have to put the ball into his mouth and it comes out back out.
Yeah, it's the 18th hole in the mini golf course. Mosler's mouth.
That's why we should just throwing like onions into his mouth. He's practicing.
But yeah, I don't know. Do we answer that question?
Yeah, I think so.
What
Okay.
question? I'm so
How this all
lost.
started. Let's go to favorite
I
parts
don't
then.
remember what the question was.
Let's just do favorite parts.
Favorites.
What do we have for favorite parts?
This is really reaching.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Go ahead.
There's a scene where one of the doctors is escaping from the lab with the formula, and she bails out of the car with the formula, and the car immediately bursts into flames like stock footage explosion. I really appreciated the timing on that.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous.
I buy it. One of my favorite parts of the movie is when we see Tingting and Mozler just tossing around the beach ball, having a good time.
She's like, I'm going to make you a bed.
And what was
She does that is one of the things she offers the snake.
Creepy symbolism abound.
Yeah, and her dad hated the snake too. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh my God, yeah,
dad was
that's-
fighting it. I mean, you can't fight it. You can't fight a woman. You know what I mean? You can't fight a girl
What?
becoming a woman. You can't fight it. It's just gonna happen.
I'm so glad you're all buying into my insane theory.
all in.
Yeah. That layer sold it to me.
Yeah. But yeah, so tossing around the beach ball, having a grand old time, being 300 times bigger. And another part I liked about that too is for a while, like you would only see the snake if it was hidden behind the side of a shed or like a hill and grass. It was very Sesame Street.
That version of the snake must have been really shitty.
Yeah, that was bad. That's the one that looked like one of those old wrestling stuff things with that mesh cover. Yeah, that was bad. Fallon, what do you have for favorite parts?
Favorite part? You just nailed it. It was the beach scene.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it was
The lighthearted glimpse of childhood.
I guess they could have bonded there, like deeply playing beach ball together.
Beach ball.
I enjoyed various costume choices.
Okay.
Such as the red berets. I also thought in the beginning, the gangsters kind of seemed like they were dressed for a round of golf. And sort of kind of yuppified. I liked that. And I liked how everyone had really basic names, like Solomon the terrorist,
Yeah.
Ted the super soldier.
Billy the sub-terrorist.
Yes. There's a Bruce the cop.
Yeah,
Bruce,
Bruce the
that's
cop.
right.
Yeah.
I think this is something that Godfrey Ho would traditionally do in all of his movies to make the movies more appealing to Caucasian audiences, which is usually why you have the white guy actor part of the movie that's spliced into the unusable Asian footage.
Yeah.
So this is something that shows up in every movie he's made.
Now, do you think that was effective? Do you think it works? I mean, I know his reasoning.
We're going to ratings soon, right? Yeah. Okay, well, you get your answer.
Fair enough. I guess. All right, let's wrap up favorite parts. Anything else?
In the end, when Ted kills Solomon and his beret had fallen off, and then he shoots Solomon in the chest and walks over and flips his beret with his foot and grabs it in his hand and walks away like a cool guy.
And then,
That's pretty sweet.
And then a hard title screen cut.
The end.
The end.
That was definitely the best part.
Now, you're missing how the beret fell off. He took the beret off of his head and disarmed Solomon by throwing it at his gun.
That is true.
I totally missed that. I was just like, what is
Whoa.
happening?
So he got odd jobbed.
Oh, yeah.
Basically, what happened.
The growing frog was pretty gross. That was kind of cool.
Yep.
I wrote the I am not having a monster in my house part. 'Cause I just thought that was really funny. And then when, I don't know if it was the terrorist or the army or who said it, but somebody just told somebody that they had no rights. And I thought that was funny.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of the dialogue was
I can't remember
very-
anybody's name because,
Why would you?
yeah,
It was very poor and very specific, which is why I liked it so much.
which is the total opposite.
All right, yeah, so let's
I do have one more favorite part.
have one more favorite part.
Sorry. During the final shootout, Ted Fast rips off a Clint Eastwood line and delivers it maybe the worst way possible.
So wooden.
Go on, shoot. Make my day, punk.
I forgot about it. And that just happened.
Yeah, that was real bad.
I think my brain immediately was just like, nope.
That
Stop
was a
it.
blatant. I don't remember it at all.
All right, I guess with that, let's rate it. So let's rate it then.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with
Yeah,
fuck
I'm going to
you.
have to give it an unfortunate fuck off.
Oh my god, my fucking father.
Fuck you.
Fuck you.
Fuck you.
All right, let's begin with rating Thunder of the Giant Serpent. Let's rate it. Who wants to start?
I can go.
Let's go, Eric.
I'll give it a fuck off.
Fuck off.
I thought it was pretty standard Godfrey Ho outing. It wasn't as amazing as Robo Vampire was, which I think is probably his best film. I just have to imagine there's nothing better than that. This had the typical the Godfrey Ho footage is really only maybe like 15, 20 minutes of it. And the rest of it is this other film that's not really particularly anything special.
Yeah.
It's not bad, but it's not good either. So, I mean, you get some enjoyment out of like the very silly parts, but there's not really much of substance to there. So, I don't know. It's fun to pick out like the stolen music and laugh at the dialogue, but beyond that, there's not really much here.
Yeah, I buy it.
Yeah.
Anyone else want to go?
I'm also going to give it a fuck off.
Okay.
I felt like it could have been more incoherent for the manner in which it was made. Some of the props were like funny. Like if you love badly dubbed movies and want to see like really shitty monsters, then by all means watch this movie. But if that's not your thing and you're into like some deep dialogue, then maybe pass on this.
Yeah, I'll agree and give it a fuck off. And I think I gave Robo Vampire a fuck off. And I think we had a couple of fuck yeahs in here for Robo Vampire.
I had to have given it a fuck yeah.
I think you did, and I'm pretty sure that I was like, it was good, but it wasn't like, as good as I wanted it to be in the way it was supposed to be good. And this one was basically the same thing. Like I feel like the standard of Godfrey Ho movie is good enough to enjoy, good enough to watch, have a good time watching it. And then it's really not good enough to really hit a home run. At least I haven't seen a home run yet, but I mean, this guy's done this 100,000 times. Yeah.
It's like a Subway sandwich. You eat it and then you don't remember anything about it.
Yeah, it hasn't like turned me off to like watching anything of his that we haven't seen in the future.
Definitely
don't worry,
not.
I'll find one.
Yeah, please do. And let's save the best for last here.
I'm also giving it a fuck off.
Okay.
Partly because of what Brittany said, the manner it's made. I think there's a certain artistry towards the assembling of such a movie. If this had just been a script front to end, I think we start going into fuck you territory. But if you think of it as sort of a collage, I think that actually is a little bit impressive to be able to do such a thing. And there was actually some legit carnage at the end. Mm-hmm. City destruction, and I thought the strange little girl storyline made it just quirky enough to be a fuck off.
Nice, so it just got there.
Agreed. I had to hand it to them for crafting a mildly coherent storyline with bits of garbage.
Yeah, I mean, I always commend the effort because that's a good editing state of mind, right? So they had to edit this film with this other film and know what they had in order to know what they had to get to make the story that they wanted to make. And I guess it came out.
What?
Hey, that made sense.
I think I followed the meaning of it. Maybe not the words itself.
No, I think that made sense. I'll stand by what I said.
All right.
Play it back.
All right, hold on. No, I'm just kidding. No, I commend the effort of doing that to a movie, and I know, he's been described as a hack, but I also think that, there's a very specific artistry to that, and that's I like to see someone else try and do that. Like, I want to see someone else's attempt at that.
I think. Oh, I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, I really want to know if he was just like loved making movies, and this was like the cheapest way for him to do that, and so he just took it and ran with it, or if he's just like super money hungry and wanted to slap something together for a quick cash grab, and then like.
But how much cash did this movie grab him? Actually,
True.
Do you know do his movies make money? Or is that why he has to make so many? Because they don't.
That's a good question.
I'm pretty sure he managed to make so many on such a shoestring budget that he would just sell them in bulk, and he actually made a lot of money doing this.
Well, think about it. So if all you had to shoot was 20 minutes worth of stuff, that budget is real low, and we know what kind of stuff he's shooting.
It must all be in like editing.
Yeah, I would say, and then like they have to edit these two things together. But I mean, there's so little pre-production, so little production that goes into this. And then he's just sending them off to video stores. I mean, I'm sure so many of these wound up in video stores.
Oh, yeah. He's
like on the huge, like the blockbuster hype in the late 80s, early 90s of just rentals. So he must have made bank.
Yeah, and I mean...
on rip-off covers alone.
I'm sure this is on like 1,035 bad movie packs.
Oh, easily. Especially for his ninja movies. You'll find a lot of those in like dollar store, like those little paper-thin DVD things.
Yeah.
And the other thing about that is, like, I think he would also really cut costs by basically filming, in the case of his ninja movies, basically one big ninja scene, like, all at the same time, and then he would just splice those ninja scenes into, like, any other movie he could find. So, like, he probably got a whole, like, dozens worth of movies shot on one set with one set of costumes and one set of actors.
Yeah.
So he probably made bank, even though the movies are terrible.
And who says he even paid for the movies he ended up getting parts of anyway?
I think he found like a warehouse full of movies.
Yeah.
I remember reading that
He must
somewhere.
have just
Wow.
dropped
Just stumbled upon it.
lump sum, like here's so much money, and then you get like 80 unfinished films or something like that. I mean, and then he's just churning out movies for little to nothing.
Now, something that you mentioned a couple of weeks ago when we covered Hollywood Cop, you mentioned the auteur theory.
Yes.
And I think this might be a good application of it, that he was very skilled and adept at making these weird splice-up movies. So would you describe Godfrey Ho as an auteur?
Yeah, that's funny you say that because I was thinking about that, and I'm not sure. So after watching 2 Amir Shervan movies, and I know he's got a bigger catalog than that, I would say he is, just by the blatant way he treated both those movies. But for this one, I'm not sure I can... I mean, they're stylistically the same, but I'm not sure that all the same themes are involved. I'd have to see more.
Okay.
I feel like because so much of what it is isn't his,
Yeah,
might be hard to tell.
That's another
That's a
reason.
good point.
Yeah, I mean, because there's the 2 mentalities you could subscribe to. One of which is anyone could be an auteur in anything, and then there's the other one where it's just like it has to be like good, where it has to be like artistic and sweet. This is none of those.
I find Ted Fast to be artistic and sweet.
And so I mean, I guess I would say no, not yet, not to me. I'll
All
have
right,
to
we'll
watch
have
more.
to delve more in.
Bigger sample
Would you
size.
consider like
Undetermined.
Tarantino someone who has like a totally distinguishable style?
Yeah,
Yeah, if you flipped by one of his movies, you would be able to tell
Yeah.
yeah.
just from hearing the dialogue, the shots. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you'd be able, I feel like that's kind of what defines it. If you can start picking out those hallmarks, every single one of their movie has A,
Definitely.
B, and C.
Yeah,
Like similar shots, similar dialogue.
which is hard to do when
Most of the movie isn't
60%
yours.
of your movie isn't yours. Yeah,
That's
Yeah,
true.
I think if you took out all the Godfrey Ho footage and like put it in a big lump, you'd be like, okay, yeah, this guy's got some reoccurring themes.
yeah, for sure.
I'm really interested to see more of his ninja movies because I feel like the tiny ninja aspects that have been in both of the movies of his that I have seen have been the best parts.
Okay, we'll get there. I gotta find one. I gotta find one that doesn't have like a really boring like movie that he pulled from, because that's a big problem with a lot of his ninja movies.
Yeah,
Like you'll have like 10 minutes of sweet ninja action, and then it's like some movie about like a sick villager or some shit.
And nobody cares about that.
I just want
Okay.
ninjas.
yeah. So, any final thoughts before we wrap ourselves up here?
Much like my last pick, Robo War, this has some mysterious subtitles at the bottom in a language that I don't recognize.
Oh, totally.
It's like
so
check.
yeah, I have no idea. If someone can identify that and mail it to us in an envelope, that'd be great.
No, there looks like there were just math symbols down there.
It's like the Pythagorean theorem the whole time.
Well, that was the formula.
This is the Greek alphabet for
Oh,
sure.
the formula.
Oh, it's definitely the formula.
Thanks for hanging out with us, Fallon.
Oh, thank,
good to have you on.
oh, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming, enduring this movie with us, and then talking about it. That's what we like doing.
Might be the most qualified guest and hosts that we've had.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, this has been Second Class Cinema. We watched Thunder of the Giant Serpent, and it got just a clean sweep of fuck offs. So
Watch it if it sounds good to you.
yeah, I think so.
It's on YouTube.
Yeah, that's how we watch it. YouTube.
Yeah, I always want people to like form their own opinions based on our synopsis, which are sometimes are terrible.
Yeah. But sometimes I think if we have a good time during a bad movie, then it comes across as if it may have been a good movie, and that's not true. Mm-hmm. But we try and do our best to warn people when that happens. This has been Second Class Cinema. If you'd like more information, facebook.com/Second Class Cinema. You can listen to this podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, and TuneIn Radio, and secondclasscinema.com. All right.
Thank you. Good night.
Thanks again, Fallon.
Thank you.
Thanks for being on.
It's a national secret. I have a right to know. I'm a scientist. General, you're not thinking of testing on animals, are you? Mm-hmm.